it's Becky with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to be here today to talk to you more about one of my favorite crafts, which is sublimation. Now today we are taking on a new sublimation project, and in fact we're going to do a little bit of experimenting with you. So hopefully you are ready to check out what goes into figuring out the right press settings for some of your sublimation items. So let's go ahead and get started and you'll see what we mean. Okay guys, so here we are. Now I did get a little bit carried away, but I plan on making a set. So these are all complimentary designs that I have, and they're really cute, so I just thought I would show them to you. Of course, they all came from Design Bundles, and I'm just gonna pick out this cupcake one because I mean, who doesn't need some cupcakes, am I right? So this is a Waffle Weave polyester towel. Okay, so if I remember correctly, it is 80% polyester and 20% cotton. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down, it's just a piece of butcher paper. I'm gonna lay this out. And my goal for this project is I just wanna make sure, see how, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but see how you can see the butcher paper underneath? I want to make sure that that butcher paper is where my design is going to go. Now, don't be alarmed if your towel isn't perfectly square. That's not something that bothers me because I give it the hang test and it hangs straight. So we're good to go on that front. But I'm going to, now this is my Krylon Easy Tack repositionable spray. This is a very well-loved can I have here. I use it for all my sublimation stuff. And I'm just going to hit the print with the spray. Turn the spray over and center it on my towel. And the reason I do this is because it keeps my image from ghosting. So I'm going to cover this up here. Actually, I'm going to cover it up here and here. Also, I just don't like putting my Easy Press directly on my fabric. All right, so we are going 375, 60 seconds. I want to go pretty light pressure on this because if you put too much pressure, then you will actually press out the waffle weave, which is obviously not what I want to do. So 375, light pressure, 60 seconds. Now, I don't know if you can see or not, but my image is actually, that's a dark brown instead of a black. Okay, and it obviously will be darker. Your colors turn much more vibrant on your project. But sometimes I like using softer colors than black. So we'll see how we feel about it in this set of towels. So I'm pretty darn excited myself, to be honest with you. All right, so I still want to be careful when I move that. Now this butcher paper I can still reuse. It wasn't actually over my image. Ooh, my image is pretty. So my takeaway from this, I don't know how well you can see it. I actually do have some scorching around here. So I am going to do some more testing so you guys can test with me. I'm going to flip this around and then I will try a different temperature. I do need to change out this piece here. So that piece is a done deal. So is my front piece. Okay, so scorching, in this case for me, it says, hey, Becky, your temperature is too high. So that means I'm actually gonna take my temperature down. I'm gonna do 360. It could also mean that, that your time is too long. So luckily I have plenty of these prints that are already pre-printed that I can test on. So next, we'll do this one next. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with my spray and secure it in place in the middle, or really as middle as I can go. Oh, I almost put it on upside down, guys. All right, there we go. Okay, then we need another piece on top. I'm going to use these same 2 pieces for my side. Now, this is my side piece, but I'm not overlapping my design. So hopefully you guys can see that. So we are at 360. Okay, and I'm going to do 360. I'm adding a little bit of pressure, and I'm going to press for 50 seconds. And then we will see what we think about that. No, I'm just kidding. Since we dropped the temperature, I'm still gonna go ahead and press for 60 seconds. And then we'll see what we think about that. But I'm adding a little bit of pressure because I did notice in some of my areas, like it almost looks like I have dots where that waffle weave texture is. So adding a little bit of pressure, hopefully that will bring the design into the little divots in the fabric. I also have, this is a piece of foam here that I press on, and I press the majority of my items on this foam. All right, so what I can do also, because I applied that, so not bad, but I still feel like I have a little bit of yellowing here. So let's stick with 360, but I will go back to my gut instinct with a new towel, and I will do it for a shorter pressing time. Okay, so you guys might be asking me, Becky, what kind of tutorial is this if you're experimenting on it? Well, what I want you to know is when you're working with fabric, especially fabric with a high polyester content, you have to know, number one, that each project will be different. Okay, so even though I've worked with waffle weave towels before, that doesn't mean that this batch isn't a little bit different. And I also feel like it's just good knowledge to know how to troubleshoot things like this. So these towels are cheap enough that they're a really great item just to try these experiments for. And I mean, truth be told, this is my set of towels. So I would rather experiment with my set of towels than I would for, towels I was making for a gift or, just for somebody else. So, okay, so since we are going for a shorter time, I'm going to increase my temperature. I'm actually going to go back up to 400, and then we will shorten our pressing time. Okay, so we are going to do 400. We're going to do 30 seconds. Okay, so I think that's a good start. All right, I feel like I got better results around. I'm going to grab a new piece of butcher paper though, because I did not apply any pressure, and I don't feel like I got very good results in my waffle weave. I'm actually only going to do this about 15 seconds. All right, so let's see what we got. Okay, so overall, I think I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Now I can still see the edge of my press, and that's going to come with that pressure. So if you have a regular heat press, you won't have as hard of a time with that because this is picking up the edge of my easy press. So just some limitations depending on if you have a preference for the easy press or if you have a preference for a regular heat press. So, but I think these are coming out pretty darn good. Let's try one more. Okay, so for this one, I have my butcher paper underneath, my print, my top piece of butcher paper, and then I have this second piece of butcher paper. So I'm doing 2 layers of butcher paper. Well, I'm still gonna do the sides here. Okay, so we're still at 400 degrees, and I'm gonna do 45 seconds. So I'm gonna add that pressure. Now I will still probably get the pressing line, but I actually think that doing the dual layer of butcher paper will make a difference. And this will be our last experiment, and then we will take a vote and we will decide which one we like best. So I think that I'm going to say that this one was the best. If you look at this one, even with the double layers, I still got that yellowing right here, the scorching, okay? So if I were to put them all side by side, I think this one was the best. So this one was, it was still 400, but it was 400 for, I'm actually just going to say for 30 seconds, because what we did was we pressed for the 30 seconds and then we pressed a second time to add that pressure in there. So 400 degrees for 30 seconds is going to be the winner on these towels. And now I can decide if I want to continue to make my entire set. There we go. So I do really like it. And of course I love making these towels and I love sublimation. So I think anytime I get a chance to experiment, it turns out really good. And hopefully you guys get a realistic picture of working with sublimation. So let's go ahead and do the wrap up. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed our little experiment. So these are the winning products. These are the, they turned out okay products, but these are the winning products. Now, what that means is that I can take the experiment that I did today and apply it to all my future towels and hopefully get really good results. And like I said, these towels are relatively inexpensive, so they make really good beginner projects, they make really good experimental projects, and they make really good gifts because you can really crank them out, and you could honestly do a set like this for under $10. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our tips and tricks for figuring out the right press settings and the right heat settings. And of course, if you have any comments or you have some tips that worked for you, please feel free to put those in the comments, because this is always just one big learning experience. And I love when I hear back from you guys and we can all kind of brainstorm together. And on top of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because that is the best way for us to be able to bring you these really awesome videos in the future. So, all right guys, I appreciate you stopping by today, and we'll see you again next time.